Sadly, a fatal shooting in Featherston was one of 4 gun crimes across the North Island over the weekend. The Police Association warns firearm crime is worse than actually being reported, with criminals increasingly willing to use guns. The Police Association president, Chris Cahill, says he heard of 3 or 4 events that hadn't even been reported on. He says firearms reform, such as the gun register and semi-automatic buyback scheme, has helped police seize more guns than ever before. But he's also claimed that licensed firearm owners and straw buyers are the largest source of the way that criminals are getting their guns. Hugh Devereux-Mack from the Council of Licensed Firearms Owners says there's also a contradiction in Cahill's claims that the buyback, firearm register and more strict laws on licensed firearm owners have been effective despite gun crime rising. And he joins me now. Hugh, a very good afternoon to you, my friend.
G'day, Leah. Great to be back here.
Now, Hugh, let's just backtrack about what the Police Association President, Chris Cahill, has said about particularly licensed firearm owners and straw buyers and criminals getting guns, off them? Is that what he was saying?
Yeah, so this is a claim that Cahill has continuously made over the years, and so we wanted to figure out, was there any basis to this? So we requested the information and were supplied with an intelligence report dating back to 2015, so about a decade ago,
right,
based on a 6-month period of reporting in counties Manukau. Now, that intelligence report found that straw buying accounted for 6% of the criminal firearms, which was far from a majority, obviously. Then we dug a little bit deeper last year with an OIA that was challenged from the Ombudsman. In the 12 months prior to April 2023, police seized 1,578 firearms. Now, of these, only 0.7% of those firearms were traced to a legal firearm owner, the majority of which had been reported stolen. So these weren't straw bought either, as he claims, and we haven't seen any evidence from him yet to support his multiple claims that we're the main source.
Well, Hugh, what is, besides the fact that using very old data, what is the reasoning behind this, do you think, to say that it's, if you're saying that of all those firearms that were seized or taken, police found or got, only 0.7%?
0.7.
0.7% were from the guns were actually from a licensed firearms owners, correct?
Yes.
Right. So what's the point behind this? Why is he saying this, do you think?
So I think this is an attempt to either undermine the existing government, who are committed to rewriting the Arms Act and creating good laws, but it's also potentially to hide their previous failures. And so he often props up the register as an essential tool that stops straw purchases. But what he stops short of saying is that all firearms sold legally in New Zealand, so that would be sold to the straw purchaser originally, require a legal import permit to bring into the country. Now, dealers have been sending those records to police since 2008, which includes the serial number of all the firearms legally imported. Now, if the firearms that they seize and have a serial number don't match up with a legal import permit, then it was either imported prior to 2008, or it was smuggled into the country on one of the 93% of shipping containers that aren't searched each year. So all we're saying that Cahill keeps coming up with this claim. It's time for him to provide evidence. The minister's asked for it as well recently. So either provide the evidence to support your claims or stop misleading the public. It shouldn't be that hard.
And Hugh, what does this do with, how detrimental is this potentially to licensed firearms owners when you hear something like this?
It has a two-part effect. The first one is obviously it destroys the credibility that police, with Cahill as their union rep, not the commissioner obviously, as their union rep has with licensed firearms owners. That trust and confidence is plummeting through the floor over the last few years, and our trust and confidence survey that we're currently undertaking is likely going to find something similar. The other thing it does is it demonizes and compares all licensed and law-abiding firearms owners with the likes of criminals. Now, in the interview on Monday, he did a good job of highlighting the fact that gun crime is rising. People are being shot and criminals are doing terrible things with firearms. But what he forgets to mention is that these are unlicensed criminals who are unaffected by the law. Our friends over at Gun Control New Zealand, Philippa Yazbek recently, spoke against the firearms prohibition orders by saying it's just another law that criminals will ignore. And we agree with her. All of the law changes that Cahill and the like want to bring in are just more laws that licensed owners will follow and criminals will ignore. So we'd rather he starts focusing more on the criminals and allows us to get on with our sport safely.
Well, that's the point, isn't it, Hugh? Like you said, those that break the law don't care how many laws you bring in because they're just going to continue to break them. So no matter what it is, we're talking firearms here, but it's any law, right? That's where crime is involved. You could have laws up the wazoo, but those that break them, they don't care. Add it again, I'm just going to break it. It just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what we did see last night in the House with the Arms and Clubs and Ranges Act going past its third reading was on the opposition of the bill. We saw the opposition taking a position which more often than not spoke about criminal dealings with arms and conflated the licensed firearms owners who use clubs and ranges as being the same as them, or seemed to consider us as dangerous individuals waiting for something to go wrong, rather than good people and volunteers who just want to run clubs safely and teach people how to use firearms in a safe and controlled manner, which seems to be quite common in that side.
Yeah, well, we're probably talking about Ginny Anderson, I would think.
Ginny Anderson and a few of our other compatriots.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the legislation that was passed to support, this is for shooting clubs and shooting ranges, wasn't it?
Yes, so it was a relatively minor change that basically turned what was considered legislation before to regulations. Now, clubs like the Deerstalkers and things operate ranges safely around the country and are all certified anyway. Now, all this legislation is going to do is mean that they will still have to operate in a safe manner, but there's just going to be less paperwork and a little fewer inspections, meaning the volunteers who are trying to run these things and keep the doors open so people can safely sight in rifles for the hunting season, which we're entering now with the RAW, or learning and teaching young people how to use firearms safely, it means they're going to be able to spend less time doing the administrative burden, which doesn't place anyone at risk, and just enjoy their sport. One thing to remember is that firearms clubs and ranges, I believe they've had over the last decade or so, I think it was 14 actual incidents or accidents happen on clubs and ranges. The majority of those were on pistol ranges, which still remain police certified and highly regulated. And that's not, as the MPs last night said, because pistols are particularly dangerous or lethal, but it's because accidents can happen when they're smaller and easier to sort of turn around accidentally with. So those remain publicly non-starter, or it doesn't decrease public safety there. And the long rifle ranges had 4 incidents on them, and the majority of those were police or military incidents, so not licensed firearms owners and civilians. So that shouldn't be factored into the equation.